And we're live. I keep saying the same thing over and over, and we're live. We're here for the third part in the three-part series with Mr. Nazeer Sultan. We're hitting it right out of the gate. And if you have been watching us for the past two evenings, part two was yesterday, and the day before was part one, you would be able to follow, you would have been following and keeping abreast of the discussion. Yesterday we did Toastmasters. We shared a bit of history. Well, we have been sharing a lot of history over the past 2 days. The first day on the 20th, we looked at why Toastmasters came to Trinidad. And yesterday, when we spoke to Toastmasters What, we looked back at some of the programs, the successes, how Toastmasters has added value in all different quarters and corners of Trinidad and Tobago. Politics, Miss Universe, uh, what you call that, entertainment, in every facet you could think about. All sorts of people that, the youngins or the young people might not even know about. But the older folks may hear about certain names that they will say, wow, I didn't know that these people were Toastmasters or they were involved in Toastmasters or Toastmasters impacted their lives. And today we're talking about the future. The future. Because why do all of this for the week? Why do all of this celebration and not know where we are going from here? What's the purpose? That was actually the reason behind doing this week of activities. We theme this back to the future. And back to the future, we had to go back to the roots to find out where we came from, how it all originated, what was the vision back then, to be able to have an idea of how we're moving forward. What can we learn from the past to be able to move forward in the future? And now that we are here in the present, October 22nd, the day of Toastmasters International, we are 96 years today, actually, 96 years. As I mentioned in an earlier session, persons who have grandparents or great grandparents who are 96 will sit you down, put you on their lap, or put you around a little fire, drinking a cup of tea or something, and they will tell you stories of their life, hand down all sorts of traditions, tell you about what they have done, what you can learn from them, and even give you advice and say, child, my child, don't do the things that I did. Learn from me. Yeah. And they will even give you advice to look forward for things, to try to save you from having to reinvent the wheel or go through the pain that they went through, and give you tips and advice to go forward. And that's why we're here today. We're here to learn from the past and what can we do moving forward in the future. Because we cannot just stay where we are and feel everything is okay. And especially in the pandemic now, you cannot be comfortable. Actually, it destabilized a lot of us. We cannot stay comfortable. We have to be able to move forward expeditiously with a different mindset, a paradigm shift, a whole new way of thinking. If you were not thinking that way before, you have no choice but to have a different thinking now. Okay? And so I am here with Nazeer Sultan, one of the co-founders of Toastmasters in Trinidad and Tobago, to really get very clinical, put on your gloves, get your scalpel out, let's dig in and find out what it is that we need to do in order to be a better version of ourselves as individuals, as humans, to be a better society as a result, to be able to contribute better in our communities, in our leadership positions, and as a country as a whole, and be a model. Why not have Trinidad as a model? We are a division now. Why not have Trinidad as the model to follow for other countries, other divisions in the district, and even Toastmasters International globally? You heard from the international president yesterday. You heard from that's Mr. Richard Peck. You heard from the international director Roy Gango what we are facing, the situation that we're in, the impact that it has had on clubs all over. But the point about it is, what can we do? What is the contribution that we can make in order to come to them with some sort of proposal or even work from our level and show them that that what we are putting in place can work. And so if they implement and duplicate what we are doing, it can work worldwide. So we are here with Nazeer Sultan, and I want to pass the virtual mic on to him now, after I've laid that groundwork, for him to have his opening statements before we go straight into the discussion. So I welcome now Mr. Sultan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And let me say how it's really been my pleasure to be able to use this platform to talk about this movement that we are all part of, that started sometime in the mid-80s in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. The last two sessions, session 1, why, session 2, what, saw Nazeer Sultan as a historian and a storyteller. Today, I want to wear the mantle of consultant. In fact, I have my own consulting firm, and I'll offer these services to clients in these times. So the question we are addressing today, given the challenges, how can we ensure the survival and growth of the Toastmasters movement? We are now a division, greater responsibility. We also have COVID. How can we design an organization that that in the first instance can survive and thrive in these challenging times? Before I attend to that issue, there was one major omission yesterday, in that I didn't mention the work of Toastmasters, my club, in training participants for the youth parliamentary debates. That was something we started, and we did more than one session, and it's an achievement that we are proud of. You know, we are concerned about building and keeping clubs. If you look at the challenges today, we have challenges in terms of resource limitations. We have challenges with regard to physically meeting. There is membership decline. We have problems with getting things done. How can we motivate individuals? And how can we ensure that there are functioning clubs within our division? So I do share Corinne's concern about legacy and learning from the past. But there is a piece of work, there is a quotation I'd like to share with you now. About 2 years ago, I had the good fortune of going to Barcelona to realize a bucket item. I think you call it a bucket list. I went to see El Clásico. And I had the great pleasure of tasting Barcelona, that city, and understanding the work of Antonioni Gaudi. He said, and I ask you for some tolerance here because I barely made it in Spanish in my times. Se debe conservar siempre el espíritu del monumento. Pero su vida debe depender de las generaciones que se la transmitan en las cuales vive y se encarna. The English. I do not know if what I just said was the Spanish, but the English. What must be always preserved is the spirit of the work. Its life will depend on the generations that transmit the spirit and bring it to life. Our job is to serve. Our job is to focus on the now and just ensure that the spirit, the DNA of Toastmasters is implanted in everything we do. And towards that end, as a consultant, I talk about design and design criteria. And I think the Toastmasters movement will benefit if it borrows from the neuroscientific construct known as the SCARF model, SCARF. And then all we do, if we can ensure that the status differentials are minimized, C, that we provide certainty as much as possible for our members when meetings will be held, how it will be held, meet our promises. A is for autonomy. If we can build, if the division can give the clubs autonomy, and autonomy of the president will allow the various vice presidents to do their work and really give people tools of empowerment, self-empowerment. R is for relatedness. And by relatedness, I mean that we are club, we interact, be it virtual, be it physical, but relatedness is a key component of the Toastmasters DNA. And finally, fairness, F for fairness. Make sure that our work has integrity, there is inclusiveness, we are fair to others, we ask them to do things we ourselves are committed to do, and we lead by example. So in this entire design going forward, in these COVID times, and let me make a point about COVID times. I do not know if we could really plan for post-COVID, because COVID is something that will have a very long tail, vaccine or no vaccine. So let's get accustomed. And the other myth that I would like people to banish is return to normalcy. We weren't normal before. We were not normal before. I wouldn't consider destroying our planet.
Exactly.
I wouldn't consider workplaces that are toxic. I wouldn't consider 2 hours to get into Port of Spain. I wouldn't consider those things as normal. I don't want to return to those things. As I've said elsewhere over the last 2 months, we are witnessing at the global level something akin to the 15th century Lutheran movement. I am talking here about reformation, reset and reformation. And what is required is for us to reimagine the future of Toastmasters in Trinidad and Tobago. So I'll stop there because I have a particular acronym I'd like to use that should guide the work of the division and clubs as we go forward. But I'll stop there for you, Corey.
Wonderful. I love the SCARF model, and it is pretty easy to remember that acronym SCARF. Wrap it around your neck, people. Make sure it keeps you warm, and utilize it in all different forms and fashion. Yes, because a scarf, if you use a scarf, it tends to elevate you. Yes, it tends to elevate you. It might tell you, make you look, whatever you maybe have on before, it will tend to bring up the whole picture. And that is what Mr. Nazeer Sultan is doing. And I just put a little visualization there to it. Now I'm trying to remember what scarf means. So if I may have missed some, I got a call. Is it relatedness? Remind me what scarf is again. S is for
status. Reduce the position differences. Status. Yes. C is for certainty.
Yes.
A is for autonomy.
But let's hold that thought here. Hold that thought. Let's talk about status. When you say reduce, talk about breaking the barriers, the separation, giving room for persons of every every color, creed, race, size, background, educational and otherwise, to be able to enter into this opportunity of Toastmasters. Am I getting you correctly?
You are getting me correctly, but interestingly, you are hooking it to another neuroscientific construct that I was going to chat a little bit, and that's you are talking now about inclusiveness. And that is where the seeds model can assist us to ensure that we mitigate some of our inherent conditioned biases. So we are talking about age, we are talking about gender, we are talking about,
Yeah.
we are basically talking about inclusiveness. As president, when you walk into the
Yeah.
club, are you the jefe or are you the
Yes.
servant leader? Right?
Exactly. Exactly. Are you the jefe? This is the thing. I remember saying to you that there are persons, and we had this in the discussion, I think it was Thursday, where persons have achieved the designation of distinguished Toastmaster, or in your time, able Toastmaster, and suddenly, like they have transformed their head, the ego has become more than them, and they have become that other individual, that suddenly they are more than, but they are not an evolved being to be able to influence another human being to say, listen, or another human being to watch that individual and say, listen, I want to learn from you. I want to follow you. Yeah? It is not demonstrated in their behavior, their attitude. It is not. So the focus is about what? Achieving a designation, passing the test, saying a tick, 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 okay, I got that, and I'm now DTM, and make sure you call me DTM. Is that what it is? What really is your purpose? What really is your purpose? So the breaking of that barrier is very, very critical, because it is more than age and gender to me, because I would have no respect, Mr. Sultan, for somebody who is carrying a designation, but they are not a leader. They don't carry themselves in a leader that I will say I will follow till the ends of the earth.
They can carry the designation, but what is more important in terms of design criteria is to carry a service mindset. Service.
Right.
Don't just pray and hold aspirations. Serve. Serve.
Mm-hmm.
The world needs service now. To participate in
Yeah.
Toastmasters now is to engage in this reformation that I am talking about and see yourself as contributing to shifting civilization in a better place.
Well,
So,
hold that thought. Hold that thought. I don't hold that thought. Hold that thought. I don't know if you're aware, but yesterday, I think the day before, I'm losing track of time. But we are Toastmasters International have formed an alliance with Rotary International, which you know is a service organization, right? Service organization. So it provides the opportunity for Toastmasters to get more involved. When we were not about service, yes, is one of our core values, but actually getting into the dirt, getting out into the field and performing service. You're talking servant leadership was not really there. Their focus was about showing up for their speeches, getting evaluated, and moving up the educational program. But with mixing with Rotary now, who is out there doing projects, helping the disadvantaged, it gives an opportunity now for us to step into that realm and really see how much of a leader am I? How much am I able to influence another person? How much am I able to impact? Any thoughts on that?
what you are correct. At the individual level, that is an important piece in terms of the service. But you have hit a systemic property in terms of the collaboration with Rotary that I'd like to spend some time on. In fact, at this stage,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to introduce um, a construct that dawned on my head at 5 a.m. this morning, preparing for this session. the strategic
Yes.
construct of PRIME, PRIME, as Toastmasters' strategic
Mm-hmm.
response
Mm-hmm.
to these times. And here I go. And I'm going to deal with the Rotary.
Yes.
P, we have to ensure that we attend to priorities. What matters most? This is not a time where we can be exhaustive. We have to be essential.
Hmm.
So I would say ensure that we attend to the critical few. And you have heard
Mm-hmm.
about mission statement. You have heard about vision
Oh yes.
statement. I
Vision
want to
statements. Yeah.
I want to introduce you to something called the challenge statement. I want the
Ah.
Toastmasters movement in this country to develop a challenge statement that all the clubs within the division could focus on as priority. A challenge statement.
Yes.
And I'm not using it in a
Mm-hmm.
debilitating way. I'm using it as something
Yes.
there that we could focus our energies on. So I've dealt with P in
Mm-hmm.
prime, priorities. I now
That's
want to
right.
I
Mm-hmm.
now want to focus on R, resilience. Resilience.
Mm-hmm.
These are times that are difficult. And I would like members, leaders and members to lean into the discomforting, lean into the unnatural, lean into what I've not done before. Because it's only this growth mindset, something posited by Carol Wick,
Hmm.
the growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. So, for instance, in the last few months, I, who is a digital naive, have had to do my conferences and coaching using all types of platforms in the Caribbean. And the truth is, the thing is powerful. There is research now showing that virtual learning and virtual teaching and virtual coaching could in fact be more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
More impactful. So I want us to
Yes.
embrace qualities as curious. I want you to look at other organizations, see what they are doing. I want you to run the club looking at the views from the membership. I want you to give Can't Happen a chance. And I would like you to see learning as an emergent quality. Listen, this ain't working. Drop it. This seemed to work. Let's do more of it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
So we have priorities and we have resilience.
Yeah.
And the end of resilience
Mm-hmm.
is that we require a leadership that is bold and inclusive, and we require action and solution oriented approaches. Any fool can complain and condemn. We need people now who join this movement to build and try out and experiment and encourage and move forward. So we have dealt with P and R in the prime strategic response. The third
Mm-hmm.
thing I'd like to talk about is intelligence, more specifically, artificial intelligence. I want you to look at your meetings. Your meetings can be virtual. I want you to look at artificial intelligence and do deep dive into your club, your membership. See if any patterns are emerging. See if you can understand educational vice presidents. See if your coaching and mentoring now could be grounded in the reality of the Toastmasters' actual challenges. not some figment or some universal formula. Use, get the information. Look, given my passion for fitness, this morning after preparing, I had a discussion with my wife where I looked at body training, just using your body weight for training. I looked at badminton, and I look at the use of weights in training, and I look at what it has done to my heartbeat. I look at what it has done to burning calories. I tie in that with my sleeping patterns and some of the insights you can determine, and all in your Fitbit right there. And you're getting all these insights that in fact is going to guide my workout of tomorrow. So use it. It is available. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of the technology. Look how easy Corinne and I, we are having this conversation. We can have our meetings. We can have our training. It is less expensive. There's no traffic jam. There's no cost. There are no there are no beverages. You walk with your own beverage. You know, so I am saying that look at digital delivery of most of the services. Go and do the tracks online. You cut down less trees with that kind of approach. Your coaching, your training, your meetings, your magazines, they can all be more effective using digital. So we have looked at priorities, resilience, the use of intelligence, artificial intelligence to improve our operations. Let's look at means, because means is a big one. Means is big. And that whole grammar training, cut your cloth to suit your suit or whatever it is. We have to look. We have to look at our revenue. We have to look at our expenses. We have to look at our expenses very carefully. We have to look at dwindling membership. And I think we should explore within the laws of Toastmasters how we can expand our revenue stream as a club. Partnerships with institutions like Rotary, etc., will be very, very useful going forward. And I still see a very big role for corporate clubs. Listen, governance, leadership, supervision, meetings, motivation, communication, speaking on your feet. These are standard staples of corporate life. And this is what the Toastmasters movement address. So approach corporations, approach organizations, and offer them the services. Take, for instance, I saw, I think last weekend papers, I saw the achievements of the South Asia Girls College being touted, scholarship winners, etc. And I'm saying, that's a beautiful place to start a club. That's really a beautiful place to start a club and for the word to go out. So we just have to be inventive. We have to collaborate. We have to invest in what counts. We have to collaborate with regards to resource sharing. And I just think that we need to put on a new set of glasses to see where synergies could be obtained in terms of getting this movement moving, getting this movement growing, etc. We will not be
Yeah.
able to do it out of the old patterns and habits. It would not.
Can I interject? Can I can I interject here? You're mentioning about sponsorship at the corporate level. And I knew you mentioned this before, and that is how NCB operated because they sponsored their employees in Toastmasters. Now, there are some clubs that are corporate here. And what has happened, like for instance, at some education institutions, the persons or staff even, let's say they are being paid for by the corporation. And when the staff leave or they are no longer associated or connected with that organization, they're not continuing the development. It's like, okay, the company is paying for me for this. I will take advantage of it. I have nothing to lose. Yeah, I will do the trainings. Um, Whether I go to the training or not, it doesn't matter. It is being covered, is not coming out of my pocket. But when they leave, they are not continuing it. How can we resolve that issue for them to realize the value that whether they're a staff or a student being sponsored by an organization to see the value? Because I think really it boils down to how much do you see value in yourself? How do you value yourself? And how do you value this thing, whatever it may be, to impact your life? That you will continue investing in you, whether it is coming out of your pocket or coming out of your organization's pocket.
The brand, the brand properties must be compelling. People must actually see what are the benefits of a Toastmasters education. That brand promise and that brand execution, that is what we sell. That is the product.
Right, exactly.
And we have to
Yeah, exactly.
ensure through our leadership and the conduct of our affairs that people can look at. When I go, when I travel the Caribbean and I look at outstanding presentations, content, style, character, cadence, when I look at that, I make a mild inquiry because there are lots of Toastmasters Club. And most at political meetings I may go. And I say, wait, there's something different here. And when I inquire from friends, they say, yes, she's a Toastmasters. She's a Toastmasters. I can tell you when people benefit from Toastmasters training. I can tell you. They wear it. They wear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It becomes a part of you.
Make the product compelling. Let's spend time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's spend time and ensure that when people get training or when people do a project, they come out at a higher level. They would have done something personal development. And then again, I am not going to
let me interject. Let me interject here. That is exactly the thinking, Mr. Sultan, behind this week of activities. Because the thinking behind it, it is not just to put something out there. We had a vision, a purpose, a goal, and we want to be able to showcase. We have a product here. We have a product here that can add value to someone's life. And we want to showcase that. And of course, we're in the age of technology. We are using the platform to allow distribution, and mass sharing in seconds. Anybody seeing this, whether this interview segment or any one of the others, because we have covered a wide gamut of aspects of Toastmasters over this week, from speechcraft to the youths, to the types of clubs. I mean, we went back to the history. You understand? We spoke about every aspect possible. And we even had today, just before your session here, a live table topics competition. a live table topics right there on the spot, right there on the spot. Earlier today, we had another form of live table topics in the form of my why. They came on with their sign, my why, on the spot, live internationally. Okay? We are demonstrating to people, we're not hiding behind anything. We are demonstrating to you, this is what we do, this is possible. We are just like you. Yeah? We are just like you, we are relating with you. We want people to see the value in what we can offer. For them to look, they might look at you, they might look at me, they might look at somebody who did a table topics or my why or whatever it is. I say, oh my God, I saw myself in that person. I have been carrying this fear. I am not being able to move up the corporate ladder as a result of me not being able to speak when my boss or manager asks me to do a simple PowerPoint presentation. I'm hiding because I don't know. I'm afraid of doing it. Worse yet, if I had to present the PowerPoint presentation, just to prepare the PowerPoint is one thing, but to present it is another. Okay? Or to even do a report or to judge a contest or to MC an event or wait to say a vote of thanks or to even say an opening prayer. You understand? We want people to see that in this week here. And that is the thinking behind it, this development. And it's going to continue because we want persons to see themselves in us. We are bringing value. We are showing you the product, and we want people to say, I see myself in that. And I can tell you, persons have been reaching out and asking to join Toastmasters. They have heard about it, but now they're seeing it. They want to know more. Tell us more. I want to join. We are not going down anybody's throat and say, join, come to this, come to that. That model doesn't work. You have to show what your product, just like you say, what's the compelling brand? What is the product? What can you offer me? What do you have that will want me to want to be with you or to be a part of what you're doing? This is what we're doing, and I will promise you, this is going to continue over the coming weeks and months once we continue to be Toastmasters. I'm telling you it's going to come because this is the only way. So I thank you for that, and it tells me that the leadership here in Division F have the type of thinking. You talk about the SCARF model, and you're talking about Prime. So we are in alignment with what you are saying in terms of the future, and I thank you for that. I wish to allow you now to continue.
Well, we have arrived at a spot in terms of where Toastmasters can adopt a strategic response. And we are using the acronym PRIME. We have dealt with priorities. We have dealt with resilience. We have dealt with intelligence. We focused a little bit on means and budgeting and partnership. And it brings me now to the last element of PRIME. And in fact, the last few minutes, we skirted that area. It's system, the ecosystem. Do not depend on willpower and motivation alone. We have to ensure that we build a system that will cause repeated, consistent, elevated performance. And that system must have things like priorities and practices. We have rich protocols in Toastmasters. We need to embed those things as habits. And we need to become unconsciously competent in showing up with these things ever present. We need to look at some new rituals. We need to look at rituals that may not be serving us and drop them. We need to make these things systemic, and we need to employ scale in order to ensure that is delivered. So an embrace of
Yeah.
prime, I think, will be a good strategic response to some of the perils at
Mm-hmm.
hand. Some of the perils that I mentioned earlier, like resource limitations, difficulties of meetings,
Mm-hmm.
possibility of
Mm-hmm.
non-functioning clubs, and trouble in getting things done. If we use prime
Yeah.
and we embed it in a scarf kind of philosophy, I think we have a
Yeah.
prototype to run Toastmasters
Ah,
in these challenging times.
we have a question. Let me bring it up here for you to see. Where is it? Somebody have a question there. Yes, I found it. Are there other values other than the core values of TI, as Toastmasters International, that are of importance when developing a challenge statement in times of crisis? How about solidarity? Just to remind you, Mr. Sultan, our core values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And the person watching is suggesting solidarity. Should that be something included as part of, or is it the core values as part of a challenge statement? I'm not sure.
Values are of immense importance. But as a consultant working in this region, I have seen values being used only to decorate the walls and corridors of organization. The values need to be more lifted out and put into the heart and everyday action. And everyday action. We must tangibilize those values in everything we do. So
Exactly.
I am more concerned with us as executive and members of a club taking those values from the wall and say during COVID time, what does solidarity looks like?
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like? How does it
Mm-hmm.
tangibilate into
Yes.
action? How does service show up? Because
Yes.
service in a
Yes.
COVID period is different to service in a non-COVID period. So I would say that emphasis on values and culture is important, but be
Mm-hmm.
guided by essential and pragmatism as opposed to exhaustive and esoteric. Let them
Yeah.
find hands and feet in our everyday deliberations. So we walk
You're
the talk.
absolutely right, and I feel the same. Yeah, I feel the same sort of passion like you. I have walked around, and one of the first things I notice is everything looks nice, nicely framed on the walls. Vision statement, the mission statement, the values, and I'm like, what? Most people don't even know it's there. You know, after a while, you keep walking past, you don't even remember the thing is on the wall. They don't even know what it is. They don't they don't manifest it in their behavior and attitude, because you would walk into an office and organization, you meet somebody at the front desk, and you look around as a visitor, and you start assessing. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I do. And I'm looking at the person's behavior that I'm coming in contact with. I look up at the walls, I see this is the vision, mission, statement, and values, and it doesn't match. And I'm like, really? 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 And for persons entering into job interviews, because Toastmasters prepare you for job interviews. Don't think, don't think that, yes, you're desperate for a job. Let's say you're desperate for a job. But these are the things you need to look at. These are the things. You want a job, but is that the organization that you really want to put yourself in? When you, if you assess, you sit down and you look around, you see something on the wall, it says that, and they are not, the staff is not doing that, they're not carrying that out. You want to be a part of that, you want to morph into that, because you will. You will. Is that the person you want to be? So it's a two-way process. You have to assess. The job is one thing, but you also have to think. Is this a place I want to be? Not because you need the job, you put yourself in there. I see you smiling, Mr. Sultan. I see you smiling.
I'm smiling because when I want to get a feel of organizations in these parts, I look at how I'm welcomed by the security guard. I go to their
Yes,
dining facilities and see
yes,
how the seating are arranged and who sit with who. And I finally use the bathroom
that's
and I
right.
get a pretty good idea of what type
Yeah,
of organization I'm in.
you gotta go. That's, I do that. I thought I was the only one, but I am extremely observant, extremely observant, and I watch, I assess, and I'm like, okay, okay. Sometimes you're there waiting to be interviewed for a job, and they may be listening to us here right now. You're here waiting for a job, and you're like, oh my God, do I really want to work here? I have to do this interview. I was called. Okay, I'll just go with it. And the enthusiasm you would have probably gone with before entering the building is not the same person when you enter the building. And then you're seeing a different atmosphere to when you go in to the room with the interviewers. So everything just gets mushed up. You're like, what is going on here? What is going on? Yeah?
So,
And
so
then
we
you
have
enter
reached.
the interview and they're making it seem as if, yeah, as they make it seem as if you need the job, you need me. Yeah? But you have to assess as an individual. It's a balancing act. You have to make that assessment. What were you saying, Mr. Sultan?
So the question that was asked is an important question. This is a very good time to take those Toastmasters values down from the walls and re-examine it
Yeah,
and see the 2 or 3 things we may be able to do in the next 6 months that will make the brand
exactly.
more compelling and make the product
Amen.
more impactful.
Amen. Amen. I feel like I'm in church. Amen. Let me tell you. And I am one, as somebody who is a PR specialist. I am one for the brand. I protect the brand of Toastmasters. I speak about the brand of Toastmasters with passion. And I believe I epitomize the brand, I'm telling you, of Toastmasters. When people come into contact with me, they know it. They know it. It is without a doubt. And I expect the same standard from everyone else. They must step up to the standard. And I call them out on it, Mr. Sultan. I call them out. Whether they upset or not, I call you out as a Toastmaster. It is not in keeping with the brand. Because it is
So
one thing to wear the shirt, wear the logo, put on a pin, put on the jacket, and claim, call me DTM. DTM this, DTM that. But but what?
so as we are coming to the end of this, I would like to really say that Toastmasters in Trinidad and Tobago is in good hands. From a co-founder,
Thank you so much.
I have seen the growth. Thank God we are now a division. But the reward of success is just more hard work. And COVID has made
Yeah.
the work a little harder. So I urge leaders, I urge Toastmasters, I urge executive to recognize that we are lucky to be associated with an organization with a heart.
Hmm.
Values like compassion and gratitude and fair play and cooperation, they are built in this. Don't stop believing and creating, Toastmasters. Don't stop. And being a Toastmaster, I have found the value of quotation. I love this one that I'm going to share with you. Time isn't made up of discrete moments that pass out of the present and into the past. Time is an endless flow of experience that never stops being now. What are we
Hmm.
doing now? We concentrated on some things in 1984 and the decade following that in some way have contributed to today, now. That is your job.
Yeah.
That is your job. Don't go a wall from reality. Look at it squarely, look at
Well.
it and think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And before I give my last words, I'd respond to any of your concerns and thanking you for the opportunity to put this thing in perspective. It's the first time I think that the context that led to the creation of Toastmasters in Trinidad and Tobago has gotten a chance to be heard. So I'd like to thank the Toastmasters movement for making that possible. Any concerns before I give you my last word?
For still being around with us. Yes, yes, yes. I thank you for still being around with us. You and Mr. Philip Rushford, who we will do a recording with and share on the Facebook page and LinkedIn and YouTube in time. As I said, this is something that we're going to continue doing, build upon, and continue sharing, because we have a responsibility to let people know the product that we have and it can add value to your lives. So I thank you for sharing. You have dedicated a lot of time and effort to put all of this together, the 3-part series, and your willingness. I really appreciate it, and for giving me the opportunity to sit here for 3 days in a row, even though we're talking all the time. People don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But to sit here with you face to face, virtually, and for others to see us, it takes a lot. And I really appreciate your time, dedication, and effort, and your commitment to the organization, first and foremost, your commitment and passion. I am sure persons can hear it in your voice. I can tell right now, people are saying to me, just to give you a feedback, why Mr. Sultan doesn't come back as a Toastmaster? We need him to coach us. We need him to mentor and help us. Tell Mr. Sultan to come back. I said, well, I don't know if he actually left, but yes, I'm sure he may be willing, and I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm sure he will be willing to come back and give of himself in some way or form. I leave it to you to close us off. Before we do that, I see a comment here. I want to show it up on the screen. The reward of success is more hard work. So true. A lot of people do not realize this. This is why people do not embrace true leadership, she believes. Your thoughts. She's asking your thoughts. That's from Jamila David, a former AD, past AD, area director.
Jamila is bang on. She is bang on. That is truth staring us in the face. And that's why you have so many free riders. Because in these parts, as Lloyd Best used to say, we are not irresponsible. We are non-responsible. We do not know what responsibility is. When you take the mantle of leadership or when you get involved, there are responsibilities. But I did know you were going to ask me some question. And when your heart is in a project, the universe helps you. So after saying thanks to you, Corinne, and thanks to you, Toastmasters, and may God bless you. And we look forward to the century celebration, and we look forward from an elevation from divisional status. These are my final words as a Toastmaster to you in this art of this Toastmaster speaking. Hear it. Here we go. It comes from the untrustworthy speaker. You ask me why I don't do things. Don't listen to me. My heart has been broken. I don't see anything clearly now. Thank you. Toastmasters, be bold and carry humility. Amen. Thank you.
Amen to that. We were in church today, people. We were in church today. We're getting comments flowing in. People are saying thanks. Thank you, Mr. Sultan, and may God bless you as well. Yeah, we had an awesome session. The time, I can't believe it's already 7:09 and I didn't feel it after having a hectic day. I didn't feel it. I thank you. It is such an engaging conversation with you. You know, it stimulates, it's such an exciting thing for me to stimulate the mind, to have intellectual conversation. Really, really exciting. And the times ahead, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to putting you on the spot again to help train Toastmasters and to have you back on a live stream again anytime you're willing and ready. Thank you so much. This is Corrine and this is Naz. As you can see there, Nazeer Sultan. Three-part series, you heard it here. Toastmasters International Day is today, 96 years. It's a great way to close off, to end off with strategies for the future, the SCARF model, and Prime. People, I'm telling you, you couldn't have gotten anything better than here. You couldn't have gotten anything better than here. But don't leave us yet. Right after this segment, as we're closing off, right after this segment, we have the handing over of the first gavel that Mr. Sultan actually passed on to the same Jamila David you see commenting on the screen. The handing over of the gavel, we call it passing the baton. Yes, it is significant. Coming up at 7:30, and we're going to have our final thank yous, our reviews for the week, and so forth. We look forward to seeing you there at 7:30 sharp in the next few minutes. So don't go far. Take a bathroom break, have a drink, and come right back. Thank you so much, Mr. Sultan. I appreciate you. I'm sending you love. Yes, and I really want to say thank you so much for dedicating your time. Thank you.
I do love you. Thank you.